Get up.
I couldn't pass it up. Oh, that's hard. Not pass it up to get it right on
it. Holy fuck. Dude, the most picture-perfect hunt you could ever imagine. Oh my god. Came charging the decoys. Should have used the bow.
All right, guys.
$3.
One day.
Same tree.
Same tree.
Oh my god, I'm so
Woo!
Holy shit! Get a shot of these.
2 farms this year. Number 1 is done.
Did you say bye, Kevin?
I did. I already did. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin.
Smoked it, buddy. Look at that. You destroyed it.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers. Well, all right, guys. Deer Shop Podcast, episode 43. If you love turkey hunting, this is the last one that we're going to be doing that discusses turkey hunting. Most likely, unless something
we kill tomorrow.
Yeah, unless something crazy happens today or tomorrow, because it's the last 2 days of Ohio season. Technically, Pennsylvania is open for another week and a half, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It goes till Memorial. It goes till the 30th,
Memorial weekend.
31st.
This is the second weekend.
Like a week left.
Yeah. So we, theoretically, might end up going to PA. Doubtful. We were supposed to be in Pennsylvania right now, actually, turkey hunting, and we didn't go because
Isaac
it rained a lot, and Isaac complained a lot.
Thanks, Isaac.
Yeah, he complained a lot. But it did rain there last night a lot. We were going to camp overnight, just hunt one day. We were going to tent camp, and thunderstorms did go in, and I did check the weather a few times, and it was getting drenched over there. But it's a beautiful day here in Ohio.
85 degrees later.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly warm and hot today. I am actually going to get on the tractor today and get a lot of food plot stuff done. It's not perfectly dry out, but it's just good farming weather today. I'll be able to get all my plots tilled up probably and some stuff in the ground.
Sure, everything's going to dry up super quick.
Yeah, the moment we plant something, we'll get a drought. But this is the final turkey hunting episode of the year. For all the people that hate turkey hunting, it's on to deer after this, so you guys can enjoy that. But we're going to get one last good conversation because I'm sitting with 2 guys that killed some birds this year. Dylan killed 2, Matt killed 1, and we have not talked about any of them on the podcast. We talked about the first week when me and Dylan tried to longbow some gobblers for a while that didn't quite work out, and then someone decided to poach our bird. And we discussed our turkey camp a little bit, where we went down. You guys went to Kentucky. Ethan killed that bird that you can kind of see in the corner. And me and Matt and Chris had some great encounters with a group of gobblers. And then a bunch of stuff happened after that we haven't talked about yet. I guess we'll probably just start with Dylan. He decided to go to Pennsylvania opening day without us and without taking a camera.
I asked you guys.
I don't know what I was doing, raising a baby or something.
Well, Ethan had class here. He would have went because
Yeah.
it's every other week. So we were in Kentucky the week before, and I think I just was planning on the weather, seeing what the weather was going to do, and then went and I actually stayed with Tim and Jan. They were
How's the cabin coming?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. A lot of work to do. I mean, upstairs is pretty much totally done. Downstairs, they just got to insulate, finish electrical, and drywall. But
It's like the opposite of our cabin
Yeah.
down Southern Ohio. The downstairs is pretty much done. The upstairs has a lot to do.
yeah, well, all the sleeping places, all the sleeping stuff is done. So,
That's nice.
Yeah, but it's coming along really nice. Really beautiful place, beautiful spot. It's a spot we've hunted in the past. I've gone up there, and I went up there, I think, on Friday after work, and then roosted and didn't hear a single thing. And it was
Because turkeys gobble at night's a myth.
Yeah, well, not last year. We heard them up there.
I know.
But it was the spot I found was kind of different. I didn't go to the same spot we always went to, so went up there, didn't hear anything, went back to camp. I had a game plan for the morning. It was actually on the opposite side of the valley or holler, whatever you want to say, from the birds that we hunted last year,
Yeah.
or that same area.
Yeah.
Beautiful logging road, just not, and there's no birds up there. And I walking down this road, didn't hear anything all morning.
We were there later last year too, for the record.
I think it was second weekend.
Yeah, we did.
I have that video on my phone.
We didn't go opening
it's like
weekend.
this weekend.
We went the second weekend.
Yeah, so we did that, but I was walking down that road, and there's actually 2 coyotes in front of me I saw. They were walking, so I just kept walking, calling, not hearing anything. And I get up, and I come over the hill, and this coyote's actually laying down in the road at like 80 yards. And I'm like, slowly, he's laying down facing the other way. So I started, like, oh, I'm going to shoot him. Start walking up.
You were using the 410, right?
Yeah, I wanted to get at least.
But that TSS, you could wing one at 100, right?
Yeah.
Coyote, theoretically.
Supposedly. But I wanted to get close to him, and I clicked gun off safety. I'm getting ready to aim. I got within 30 yards of him, and as soon as I pull my gun up, I hear a bird gobble. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I'm like, did I really want to shoot him? And then as soon as I looked over at the direction where the bird gobbled, he already turned around, seen me, and started. He went off. But the bird ended up gobbling across the holler on the other side. So game plan, go back to the truck, call the whole time, get on that side. Unfortunately, there was trucks everywhere. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Pennsylvania, like, sometimes we see lots of trucks, sometimes we don't. That seemed to be a weekend.
It was, I mean, that was unbelievable. And I was getting really frustrated because every single pull-off on that road up there had a truck in it, which is fine. I mean, I was just, I couldn't hunt anywhere. I couldn't go, and I'm like, man, I'm going to have to go drive somewhere else. So driving around, I had to leave those birds, and I went down, crossed the river, went back up the other side where we've hunted in the past before. Same thing. There's trucks all over. I came.
How does that look up there? Because they were doing a bunch of logging and changing things
on the left side. They did.
Okay,
on the right side.
So you went up to the right side.
Well, that's where I wanted to go.
Okay.
So go up there. I actually was going up that road, and it was a male turkey. I don't know if it was a jake or a gobbler, but redhead was standing in the middle of the road, probably 150 yards. He ended up crossing it, and I'm like, So I thought about it. I pull up. There's a pull off. There's a truck parked there. So I'm like, well, I don't want to ruin that guy's hunt. Went up to the spot where we walked, where me and Isaac almost killed a couple years ago.
Yep. Oh, that mountain laurel got in the way.
Yeah, there's trucks parked there. So I'm like, and this is probably about 10 o'clock or so, 10:30. So I'm getting really frustrated. Just to find a spot to pull off and walk is all I wanted to do at that point. So I did find a road, walked back in a mile, called nothing. Driving down the one road, and it goes back towards the main road we come in off of. I've never personally been down that way, but going down that road, and at this point, I'm just stopping the truck in the middle of the road, getting out and calling. So I'm doing that all the way down. I start getting down to the end, starts getting into private land down there, and I call him bird gobbles on top of the hill. I'm like, So there's a road that goes all the way down this bottom. I turn around, try driving down, and it ends up being a 4-wheeler path. So that wasn't working out.
Was it gated off?
No, it was. There's no gate. It
You
looked,
could have
I could have drove, but the problem was I didn't realize it kept going down, and that bird was on top.
There's a big 4-wheeler ride this weekend up there or something.
Yeah,
did you see that? Did you see on Cougar Bob's?
They do all the trails, and it's all those snowmobile trails.
Yeah, there's like some big event. It's either the sign up is this weekend or they're actually riding this weekend, which would kind of really fuck our turkey.
Yeah, but they have
hundreds of quads running through them.
Designated trails, and I don't know where. I don't know if they do it in that area there or not.
I just seen it on Facebook.
Yeah,
there was something this weekend.
Yeah, so I backed up, and I'm looking at my map, and there's this. It's a weird little corner. It's at the top of this knob, and it's kind of close within a couple 100 yards of where those birds were, but it's private land on the very top. Off to the edge, it's just the corner piece. So I get up there, those birds answer, and I go down the edge of the public land to get closer to them. They're gobbling, and then all of a sudden, bird goes off behind me, another bird goes off behind me again. So there's like 3 or 4 birds going off. I'm like, okay, so I'm in birds. It's almost 11 o'clock. I'm like, I got to make something happen. And the bird
You only had till noon then, right?
Yeah, you only had till noon. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this bird sounds like a jake. And there ended up being 2 of them. I can hear both of them gobbling. And I'm like, this just sounds like a jake. And where I was down the side of the hill, and I didn't really like it. I didn't think I could call them down a hill or on the side hill. So I've been in that situation before. I wanted to be on top. So got their attention. I backed off like 150 yards maybe to the top. I was about 50 yards from the property line of private, which is right where I wanted to be. So the birds were behind me gobbling, and it was getting later in the day. Well, not later in the day, later in the morning, about 11:15, and I thought I should back off and go chase the other bird just because I was almost convinced they were jakes. And I'm sitting there, and they're coming. This particular spot, they have the private land's all painted purple. All the trees are painted purple. That is the border of private land.
Yeah, purple
And
paint law out there.
Yeah,
right?
so I'm sitting there, and these birds, I can hear them, and I'm not calling a lot because I it's kind of open where I was. They're gobbling. They start going to my left, so I yelped a little bit, gobbled, and then I start seeing their heads coming through, and then all of a sudden I see him like half strut. Still can't tell if it's a gobbler. He's about 40. I think I range find after I shot him, like 42 or something. And he steps out in an opening, and I just see his beard dangling. I'm like, no shit, man. And I shot, and he was actually pretty lively, I would say. I mean, one of the more lively birds I've shot in a while.
Flop around a lot.
Yeah,
afterward.
I had to run up and get him, but it was just an incredible hunt. I told Caleb when I left, I said, I bet you I have the best hunt of my life this week.
Yeah, didn't you like take the camera and leave it at your house?
No, I dropped it off after Kentucky. Ethan kept everything.
Okay, I thought you like had a camera but like forgot to grab it or something.
No, Ethan had. I was excited to just get down there. I got off work early, and I just threw my shit in my truck, left, and when I got to about, I don't know, 45 minutes away, I was like, yeah, I forgot him.
I mean, self-filming like that would be tough.
I could have
with the
got
camera,
sweet
but if
GoPro.
you got if you had
Yeah.
the GoPro, we've utilized the GoPro plenty on yourself just to kind of see what's going on.
It was I couldn't believe it just because the amount of I was just not having a good time. I kept telling myself I'm never coming back here opening day again, just for the amount of people, which is totally fine. Residents hunt there a lot. It's great public land. It's just frustrating to not be able to find a pull off to hunt.
You're gonna make me want to go up middle this week.
Do it. Send you
might.
pins. But there's all those other birds up there that I heard, and you can't hunt on Sundays, so Saturday was my only day. I was coming home after that, and plan was for me to buy another tag and go back this weekend with you guys, but it just I didn't realize you had to buy both your tags for PA before opening day. Yeah.
So like in West Virginia, it's that way. Like if you want to buy that second buck tag, you have to you get your firearms tag with your license or whatever, your deer, whatever it is, and then you have to buy a doe tag and another buck tag prior to the week opening, so that you already have it all lined up.
Yep.
Instead of being able to shoot a buck, buy a doe tag, shoot a doe, and then shoot another buck.
Yeah.
I think
as
you
like
can
a
buy a doe
non-resident.
tag though. After
you-
the season opens,
right
But I
back-
think you can shoot that buck and then buy a doe tag, but you can't buy a second buck tag
Yeah, you have to buy that second buck tag.
Yeah.
prior to.
Which there has been times where we probably could shoot two bucks down there, but like why would
Yeah.
Yeah.
once you shoot your one, why would you want to shoot another?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always buy a bear tag so that way when I can still hunt after I shoot my buck and just hope a bear runs by, which never does. Never does when you have a tag, always does when you don't
Yeah.
have a tag.
That's everything.
It's one of them things.
Yep.
So that's our first PA about gobbler, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been going up there with you hunting them since 2019.
Yeah.
We've skipped a year here and there before COVID and stuff, but we've had a camp almost every year in PA, and we're not probably going to end up having one this year, just the way it all worked out with the rain outs. We've been rained out twice, and then just schedules and all that stuff. It's kind of been a little bit difficult to.
The rain sucked.
The rain's been
rained out
the
of
rain's
trial camp,
killing us. Yeah,
rained
the
out
rain's
of
killing
everything,
us.
and it's always it's beautiful during the week, but then when you go to do something, it's raining.
Yeah, and
on the
like with
weekend.
the babies now, we had to kind of plan a little bit ahead of time. So it's we're gonna go these 3 days we'll block off on the calendar and go,
Yeah.
and then of course those days approach and it's pissing
Weather's
rain.
terrible.
and Weather's no good, so it's kind of hard to.
Weather's been
The weather's amazing
good
right now.
around here on the weekends for hunting.
Yep.
They haven't got much rain around here on the weekends, but there's no birds.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
just not. That's why we're going to talk about Matt's bird now and why we had to go where we did to kill it. We had our camp down at the Gore Farm and had our encounters with all the birds down there, and then the cell cams were set up, and they were just showing birds strutting around, using the food plot. I mean, there was a lot of trail camera action after we left turkey camp a couple weeks ago, so we made a decision to do a one-night turkey camp, a little quick incognito. We left at like 10 o'clock from
It was
here.
like 10, I think.
Yeah, I'll let you kind of go off on that one.
Me and Caleb and Chris went down to the Gore Farm in southern Ohio. Like you said, we did the one night.
late.
We left at 10:30. We got down there, I think it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock, somewhere in there. Kind of got everything set up in the camp.
Coleman
laid
cot.
down. Yeah. That's the only thing we can say. Caleb's Coleman cot was the best. He
Because
paid
none of these
$50
guys like what they
$50.
sleep on. None of these guys like what they sleep on. And there, Chris has that futon. He's got the mattress flipped into like a burrito, sleeping on top of it, doubled up. Matt's cot. Every time you do, like, he'd move like 1 inch, and be like, it's
The
like,
edge of it, both edges of it, like stay up high, so you like fold in the middle when you're laying on it.
But I
Great
have a
time.
cheap $50 Coleman spring-loaded cot. That
we
thing
got
is amazing.
going to PA
yeah,
that year.
We bought it on a whim on the way to PA camp one year, and it's silent, it's comfortable, it doesn't move on me. It's
Yeah.
awesome. But anyways,
Me and Caleb were both on the baby schedule, so for some reason we both woke up at 2:08 in the morning.
I remember just like
looked at-
looking over, and Matt's awake. And I'm like, we've only been sleeping an hour.
Yeah, he's like, "What time is it?" I'm like, 2:08. So, fell back to sleep. Woke up.
Chris
I think
is sawing
Chris
logs.
Had, yeah. Chris had his alarm set for I think 4:45. We woke up
Yep.
then, and it was pouring down rain. Of
Oh,
course.
pouring rain, and it's cool. They have a little, like for deer camp they bought, and I was thinking about this too. I know we have our ideas for what we're going to do at deer camp this fall for internet or electricity or whatever. But like at this camp, they have that little antenna TV digital box. I wonder if one of those would work down there in West
It
Virginia.
might, yeah.
But the cool part is you got the Weather Channel. So we popped the Weather Channel on local on the 7s or whatever, weather on the 7s,
Yeah.
just constant radar. We're like, damn it, it's wet.
Yeah, and when we looked at the radar when we were planning on going down, it was supposed to rain through the night.
Yeah, we knew
And
it
be
was going
fine in
to
the morning.
rain right through the night, but hopefully clear up by
Yeah.
6. And it wasn't quite cleared up by 6.
No, and when we were getting ready to leave, we got tornado warnings up here, so
Yeah.
that was a plus. Like our wives have
Yeah.
newborn, month-old children at home, and they're like, "Oh, there's tornado warnings now." So,
I didn't think
luckily,
it was that bad up here.
It didn't. It didn't.
Maybe
end up
Ashland.
it didn't end up
It
being that
stayed
bad, but there
west.
was some tornadoes out west.
Yeah.
everything kind of stayed west. So we ran into a little bit of weather on the way down. Nothing bad, and it rained a little bit.
No.
We had some crazy lightning off in the distance, but like I said, we got down there, woke up in the morning. It was raining, so we set an alarm for like half an hour later. Woke up, it was still
Yeah, we
raining.
kept staggering the alarm.
Yeah.
Still raining.
I think on our third alarm we got up, and it was finally like done. Maybe a little bit misty still, but nothing crazy.
And it
What-
was
what time
definitely
was that?
light out.
Yeah, it was
6:15,
6:15,
6:20.
yeah.
Like it was
gonna say-
shootable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got up by Chris's food plot, which is pretty much at the top of the hill.
It's
called-
right at the top of the 4-wheeler access path.
We called right there, had a couple birds off where I think Isaac and Chris were like week prior when they went down.
Yeah, there were some bird. There was definitely a bird across the river, which is not property we can hunt. A huge river that we couldn't get across if we wanted to. And then it sounded like there were some birds up top, probably 500-600 yards off the property. It was harder to hear now because the leaf cover keeps getting more and more every time we go down. So like the gobbles are more muffled, especially when they're on the ground already. But they were very distant gobbles.
There was
we could
nothing
hunt.
really close.
Now, do all those ridge tops up there connect, or is it just
So the one that we hunt does not connect to any of the ones that we're listening to.
Okay.
It's like it's its own ridge that
Yeah.
comes through the middle, and then around it is like the bowl.
Yeah.
So there's like a big U-shaped bowl around their ridge, and their ridge then it does like continue
Extend
on
down.
to the north, but we can't hunt that way either.
Yeah,
So
well, I'm just saying connecting because I mean,
no,
turkeys
there-
at least
yep,
walking and
there's
stuff.
a big bowl all the way around.
Yeah.
So the ridge that we've been hearing these gobblers on are not the same ridge we're hunting. I did think potentially that I heard maybe one gobble closer right away before we did
That
any
very
type of
first one.
locating calling, but I couldn't tell where it was. It was tough. It was right when we had like set all our camera gear down, went like this. I heard a gobble, but I couldn't tell where it was. It might have been the birds we ended up hunting, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Well, you heard it. I did not because my heart was pumping just from trying to walk up that hill.
I've been walking
not
up hills
anywhere
all
in
spring, so I
shape
was
now.
I was better. I was doing all right.
So we went up and sat in the food plot. We sat there for probably half hour, 45 minutes. We had a bird responding pretty much every time that he would call.
But far.
But he was far off. It didn't sound like he was getting anywhere closer.
He was just sounding off from the top of that other ridge, and he had no intention of coming over.
So Chris looked at his phone and had a camera update from his Tacticam, and of course there was 3 gobblers over by that.
Yeah, and it was probably 250 yards directly north of us, like the field winds, and there's another little food plot in between us, and then there's a muddy edge of this field that is real tall, like this ridge is like the field's at the top of the ridge, so it gets a lot of sunlight and it's real dry and dusty. So we called it the dusting knob. We noticed it. That's where me and Big Chris set up the week.
And what was
week
what
before.
time was that?
It was a half an hour. Like when we sat down, I think they actually started coming up. Like they were actually in that spot for a little while before we noticed them on the cell cam, and they weren't gobbling.
No, I think
That's
the
what I was
first
gonna
picture we
ask,
got
if
of them
they-
was like 8.
And they didn't make a peep.
And if they were gobbling for whatever
hear it.
reason, we couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
But they were there strutting around like, oh shit, And then,
Yeah. It's hard to hear them in the hills like that, though, sometimes.
So it was
Just-
weird because we were on the same level as them at that point.
Yeah.
250
think you'd be
yards
able to
away.
hear 'em.
We thought we'd be able to hear them for sure, but
Where we were sitting too, we could see pretty much most of the hill, the field. There was a hen that came in and was just kind of by herself walking right through the middle of the field. It was all overgrown.
And the cool part about that was we noticed the hen after we had noticed the strutters on the cell camera, and there was hens with the strutters on the cell camera. So for a minute there, we kind of set up thinking maybe that hen's walking the middle of that field's cut out for a 4-wheeler path because it was overgrown, hasn't been worked yet this spring. And as she was walking towards us in that cutout, we were hoping maybe the gobblers were in tow, but they weren't.
No, they weren't at all. So we decided that we were going to make a move a little bit closer to him. So we moved probably 100
We cut the
yards.
distance in half, I'd say,
Probably about 100 yards. We set up, and he started calling, and it was just nonstop, them responding.
Yeah, they responded to
just
every
went-
call.
Yeah, they were
And we could hear them clear as day then. They were gobbling like crazy.
Yeah.
We were around a bend from them. So there was a big bend in the field. They were up a little higher than us, and in between us was a big bowl, deep, valley drainage, like real steep.
Yeah. They had a hen with them, and she was going crazy too. She finally shut up.
Yeah, I was
They
hoping to
just-
call her over, but she was mad. But
Yeah.
then she
just
went
stayed with
quiet.
them.
Yeah.
So we sat there for probably half hour, 45 minutes. They didn't move. They pretty much responded the whole time.
Yep.
Gobbling the whole time. So we decided to move up a little bit closer to
Yeah,
pretty much the point of where the field comes around.
When we were in that first setup for them, which technically our second setup of the day, but when we were set up there closer, I tried all the different techniques. So I tried silent treatment, 15 minutes, no calls at all. I tried scratching. I switched from my mouth call to a slate call. I put in a different mouth call. I called excited. I called soft. I purred. They would just gobble all of it and not move because they had hens up there. And they loved that spot where they were.
Yeah.
I had a bird do that in Kentucky last year or 2 years ago, and I did purr fighting, smacking my head on my leg like there's 2 gobblers fighting, and he came over the knob pissed.
If there was one, I think that would work.
Well,
the fact that there was 3 up
But
there.
3 of them, they might be like, who the hell is this dude? You know?
And and we've been theorizing on this a little bit because we've been hunting down there so much. So there's that group of birds, and there was originally 4 of them, which I probably shot and ended up killing the one, and we just never found it the first time when I took my shots.
Yeah.
Even though he was alive after the shot, I think he ended up dying because then there was only 3. Mm-hmm. And then that group of 3 was around until this day. But there was other birds on camera from time to time and other birds gobbling. So I don't know if I think this group was a group of 2-year-olds and they weren't dominant. So that's why they didn't do a lot of roost gobbling.
Yeah.
So the birds that were gobbling on the roost were older, lone birds
Well,
in that
the
area.
bird that I called in had some hooks on him. I mean, it was big mountain bird.
So we'll get to what Matt's bird was, but right before we made that second move, that hen came back, and we thought it was a gobbler at first because we saw a head coming through the valley. Yeah, and we got really
That was
excited.
the one that came through the field first.
Yeah. She came back and went and met up with them.
Yeah.
She ended up showing up on the cell camera 10 minutes after she came through our setup. We were real excited. Thought the birds finally broke and were coming, but it was just that original hen coming back to the gobbles. But
Yeah. We moved down and sat there for probably another half an hour, and they did not move.
Yeah.
They stayed up on that top in the dust.
yeah, they would come to the edge and gobble, go away, gobble, come to
Yep.
the edge and gobble, go away.
Yeah, they were moving probably 20 yards back and forth, but staying up on that top and not getting anywhere closer
Yeah.
to it. So,
They would leave the cell cam for like 10 minutes and then come back, and there'd be 3 of them again.
yeah. So we decided we were going to make a move. Where we were, it kind of drops down into a little bit of a valley, and you got to come back up onto the side where they were.
Perfectly steep lip.
Yeah, so we decided we were going to drop down. We got over onto that side, and we knew that they were working kind of away from us. So we popped up right. We were going to try to get right to the edge of the field where they were coming over to, and we got up within 15 yards probably of the field. And luckily, me being tall enough, I saw the top of a fan, and I'm like, oh, crap. Like, they're right there.
Yeah.
So we stopped. Caleb was able to kind of bend down. Chris was, like, halfway standing. And I was, like, my legs were spread out because I was trying to take a step over a bunch of logs. So I'm like, I got to move. I was able to finally move, and they were, like, just strutting back and forth right in front of us, like 15, 20 yards.
God, that's so hard to get that close to birds with 3 dudes.
And the filming was so tough because I was like trying to manually focus on the fans moving through the weeds, but the sun was just beating.
It's hard enough to do it when you're sitting with decoys in front of you and try and kill one, as we found out, let alone being standing and trying to, walking up on a bird like
turkey
that.
hunting. Filming turkey hunting is frustrating because anyone can they're going to watch turkey. They're going to type in turkey hunting on YouTube. And actually, I'll give credit to THP. The majority of THP's turkey hunting videos look like ours, where you only end up seeing the gobbler right before you shoot them.
Yeah.
Because they're filming like we are. They're running and gunning, holding cameras running through the woods. Heartland Bow Hunter, they make beautiful, beautiful videos, and they're out in the field with a dedicated cameraman, and they set everything up before they go in the woods, so where everything's wide open. Yeah. Kind of like what we tried to do for your bow hunting stuff, and it didn't quite work. So they get this beautiful strutting, 120 frame a second turkey coming in and getting whacked. When you're in these hills, everywhere we hunt, turkey hunts hills and run and gun through the woods, we don't ever use decoys. You do a lot. Our hunting is really hard to film and get good quality footage of gobblers. So I'm like trying my best to manually focus on the fans and get the brightness level correct. And there's 20 yards of weeds that I'm filming through, which was really fucking with the camera. So I was able to get the fans moving around a little bit, but if it was more open, they would have saw us. It worked to our advantage.
I only do decoys in a field. If I'm running gun in the woods, I never. And this was the first year. I guarantee this is the first year I've killed a bird with a decoy in probably the past 10 years. Ethan's bird too.
We were going to take decoys with us to set up in the food plot. We just forgot them here. They're still sitting in a bag right there.
I can't stand carrying decoys around
there too.
And at this point, I had actually dropped my gun already and my GoPro, and I was down to just holding that camera. Yeah. And that's the only thing I had. Matt and Chris had their guns. But Matt, being 17 inches taller than Chris, had like the good view out into the field, and Chris just couldn't see where he was at. Yeah. I give him credit for not getting fidgety and like trying to move. We didn't call for a little bit, but then I did start calling, and man, they were hammering like from here to that couch. Right, they were hammering at us in our face. We couldn't see us because we were below them.
They were going back and forth, and I had like this tiny little window. And where Chris was, I wasn't sure if he could see anything, as he was probably, 5 yards away from me. Yeah. And I kept like, hey, can you see anything? Do you have a shot? And he's like,
And I'm filming like this, which was sucked.
He's like, pretty much could only see the fans when they came over far enough onto his side. And I had a shot at one point, but I was like, I'm going to wait. Because I wanted him to be able to shoot because they haven't killed a turkey down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Chris has been turkey with us forever, and we got so close so many times.
Has he ever killed a bird?
No.
No, poor Chris.
We've had like 2 or 3 in range.
All his farms and stuff. We've had
2 or 3 in range in West Virginia that just didn't work out because of the way those hill gobblers are. And then,
but when you're group hunting like that, if you got a shot, you get like that's
2 years ago we were hunting here. And I called in a gobbler, and it was in range out in my food plot, and Chris was the shooter, and it just didn't quite work out for him to get a shot that time. So we've been real close. He's had gobblers in range 4 or 5 times now. The turkey camp the week before this, there was 4 gobblers in range, and I was in between his shots, so he couldn't shoot. It's not for lack of trying or opportunity. It just
doesn't work out.
Tough, man.
Yeah, I know.
And eventually.
So eventually there was a hen, and I'm like, make sure you don't shoot her out of anything.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that's still included in the video or not that I released, but there was Matt's like, don't shoot that one. Do not shoot the hen.
Yeah, she popped up like she got real close to us. Yeah, and was
because I was scratching. I was purposely scratching to get him to come over even closer. Yeah. Which we probably hindsight. Everything's hindsight. If we would let him work away back towards the cameras a little bit more, we probably could have eased up a little bit and gotten a better position. But that's hindsight.
Luckily where I was, I had a couple small trees right next to me, so I was able to grab a hold of them and keep my gun up.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to like try to sit there and hold it the whole
Thank
time.
God you're using that
luckily,
410.
Yeah, I was going to say I have the 410, so it's not like it's super heavy, but we stood there for probably 10 minutes.
Yeah, more than
At
that.
least
I think we were
15.
there for 15, close to 20 minutes in that spot.
Yeah, we're both trying to hold our guns up the whole time. So,
And I'm trying to hold that camera up.
yeah. I had one pop into the opening that I had, and I'm like, I got a shot right now. And Caleb, I remember Caleb go, well, fucking take it.
I said, at that point, I'm just fucking shooting him.
Yeah. So he tried to get the camera over far enough where he could see. I think he had a little bit of the fan.
I did have some fan when he shot, but it was hard to, unless you really know what you're looking at, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. So I took the shot. I saw him drop. The other ones kind of took off. We went running up.
So I didn't know you saw your bird drop. Like the moment you shot, I'd like put my camera down and like made a big loop to try to get up there, and I was calling like crazy. But then that bird was flopping. So I'm like, yes, thank God. One bird is down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got up there, and I mean, there was one that I probably could have got another shot on if I.
He was like
would've
running
shot that.
straight away.
Yeah, and where Chris was at, he didn't get up to us right away.
Took the big boy a little bit to get up there.
So we got up. We saw mine was down. It's kind of flopping around. So I got on that, and then that hen went.
She went into the bean or the
she went into the
weeds,
weeds.
and then flew off. Like she was like tucked down, and then when we all got up there, then she finally
It
flew
was like
off.
a pheasant just taking off, walking up on it. But yeah, we had the Tacticam was on it. We got awesome pictures with that. You had the bird strutting. The next picture was the bird on the ground dead, and the picture after that was the three of us. There was a Browning camera
That's
there on video.
two times this year we could have technically had kills on camera. My one I missed.
We
That
could
would've
have killed
been
that.
sweet
We could have
video.
killed your bird on camera twice
Yeah.
theoretically if we had shotguns.
Yeah.
But the like Matt said, the part that hurts my soul, like just it hurts my soul. And it is what it is. We had a Browning, a higher quality video Browning, a good one, pointed exactly where it needed to be to capture all the strutting, all the action, all the shooting. And the afternoon before, the leaves had grown so much, and with the rain, curled down in front of that camera and filled the memory card up with just leaves in front of the camera. So it stopped recording that. The previous afternoon is when it stopped recording. That camera did have some awesome video of the birds we shot a couple days before. The white wing bird, there's a feather hanging up over there. Whitey, we call him. We haven't really talked about that yet, but the one lead bird, beautiful video of him fanning his wing out for us. Bobcats, there's a buck that's been using that area heavy. A good buck. He's already
Nice
at his
already.
ears. Real good buck. So we got a bunch of good videos off that trail camera, just didn't
that
capture
morning.
that, which man, that hurt my soul. Because the whole time we're calling these birds and doing everything, we were thinking at least we'll have the footage from the trail camera to show over.
Yeah.
But I fixed that trail camera, moved it, cut a bunch of limbs down, and had it and repositioned it on that dusting knob. And luckily, there's been a lot of action since this moment. Those birds have been back at least twice, strutting around there. Bobcats walking by a couple times.
Make a run tomorrow morning.
That big buck's been back 2 or 3 times.
Do
The
it.
only reason I'm not hunting there right now is since Chris is on his way to the Outer Banks. The whole family is having Chris and Brenda's 40th wedding anniversary down in the Outer Banks.
I'll go tomorrow morning. I'll film you.
And because of that area is closed off for the year. I don't want to go
Go.
down there and shoot, even though they can't shoot their birds.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down there and kill their birds without them on the property. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, it was pretty cool to finally get a bird down. Me and Chris and Matt and Isaac have been hunting together, and Big Chris, turkeys since 2016 or 17. We've been filming turkey hunts together. And logistically it's tough because we had to plan 2-3 day trips to West Virginia, or we used to go down to their other property in Southern Ohio. And every time we would do it, we'd have to battle the weather. We get close to a bird, but then we're done because we got to go back.
Dude, it's the weather.
Right.
Fucking rain or snow. You guys had snow the one year, and
There's been a couple years where we went to West Virginia, and like you wake up in the morning, it is just pouring down rain. I know the one year we decided we're still going to go out.
yeah,
We got out. It was pouring down rain.
Yep. That last
up.
video, actually one of the videos we were watching here in the back, we always have the shop video going, was our West Virginia trip last year. And we skipped opening morning because it rained. It was just pouring rain and there was no point in.
Well, we had that morning. You remember the morning that you dropped the decoy and they went rolling down the hill?
Yeah, that was, I think that was
our, our
2017.
first year that we went turkey hunting down there.
Yeah, I think that was 2017. We turkey hunted for like 30 minutes and then
pretty
just
much
called it
became
because it was windy, rainy. Yeah, the decoy going down the hill. I pulled the decoy out of the bag, set it down next to me to get the stake ready, and it just rolled like 100 yards down this mountain, just make dong, dong, bong, ding, ding, dong, boom, all the way down. Like, fuck me. But
Give it up.
Yep.
your bird had a very nice beard on him. Spurs were all right. He wasn't very heavy.
Yeah.
That's what makes me think they were 2-year-old birds together. Because
Both birds I've killed this year weren't heavy.
yeah, this bird wasn't heavy. By any, we stuck it in his backpack like a pheasant and walked around the rest of the
maybe
day.
18.
Yeah, I would
maybe.
say it definitely wasn't a 20,
Well,
23-pound bird.
Me and Ethan went down the next week after that. I think it was the next week or that weekend. What day did you guys go?
For what?
Turkey hunting. Well, me and Ethan just went down.
Oh, when you went to public land?
On a Wednesday.
It was we went like on a
night.
Wednesday. We went weekday.
Did we go that?
You guys
weekend?
ended up going like that next Saturday, I think. You went down Friday night.
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah, but that was
rained out for the most part.
no. We were great
Ethan said it poured on you guys.
when we were walking out at
Okay.
at like 11 or noon. But we got good hunting in the morning and the day before in the evening. There's tons of tracks. Place we've hunted in the past. We got on birds. You almost killed a bird. There was just
missed
no
a bird.
birds gobbling.
I missed a bird there.
Yeah, yeah. There's tons of tracks, and I mean, it looked like a pterodactyl track. I mean, just giant. Like, look, obviously a gobbler track, but there's tracks covering the road, and we were excited and didn't hear anything in the evening. Didn't hear anything.
Because
in that
birds don't
morning.
gobble at night.
We sat there all morning, not a single bird. And it was
Sometimes that just
weird.
happens, you know.
Yeah, I mean it is, and we ended up we found a bird in a field. We drove around. There's a truck parked way down at the end, and we didn't know if he was in the other pull off or if he was chasing these birds. So I told Ethan, I'm like, we might as well get around. These birds are feeding along this hillside. They weren't gobbling or anything. We get up there, and I find a spot where I want to sit, and these birds are. We couldn't see them, but we knew they were feeding this way. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking across the little ditch, and I see like two things under this tree. It's two guys sitting there. I'm like, oh man. So we ended
We've been
up
in that situation a lot.
yeah, but we backed off. So we did back off, which I felt good about. Went and drove around for about an hour. Came back through there to see if those guys were still there, and they were walking up the hill with the bird. So I was like, well, that worked out. Good for that guy, you know. And there were two local
Yeah,
guys
Ethan said that
lived
they've
down
been
there.
hunting that bird for a while.
Yeah.
They were on him all season or whatever.
So I felt good about that, and we ended up driving him back to his truck. But super nice guy. He lived 15 minutes from that area. But it was an area I've never hunted before. I've driven through there, but never hunted it. So
And then you got on a bird and killed one, 2 days ago? 3 days ago?
yeah,
2 days ago. 2 days ago.
yeah, 2 or 3 Tuesday morning, I
An
think.
Ohio bird.
Yeah, but they that was a fluke.
Yeah, you went to a new spot?
I had this spot. It's actually a customer of ours that I texted her and said, "Hey, would you mind if I turkey on it?" Because her husband, he goes out west. His taxidermy room is grizzly bears, elk, moose. He's big game hunter.
Grizzly bear's like 30 grand.
Yeah. So
Minimum.
I mean, he's it's awesome, but all he does is deer hunt. So and it's a beautiful river bottom farm. It's 150 acres maybe, and I just keep forgetting about it because I just got permission for it. So I texted her. I'm like, I think I'm gonna come hunting there tomorrow. I've always seen birds in that area. It can't hurt. Not seeing anything else. So I get in there. I'm just walking. I looked on my maps, and there's this nice bottom area where the big woods are, and there's another field. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to that area because where the other stuff was, I didn't think birds would be roosting because it's not woods. It's more like tree lines and river lines and stuff, creek lines. So I get back in there, and it's getting pretty light. And I'm like, dude, I didn't hear a single thing. Didn't hear anything. I still stayed in that general area because it looked good. I did a loud yelp with my glass call and hammered. I'm like, no shit. So I get set up. I had Jake decoy and a breeding hen. Get set up. I had a perfect hide. This is the property line, so they were on the other property. And beautiful morning. He's gobbling. I mean, choking over himself gobbling. And I'm sitting there, and he goes silent for like 15 minutes. I'm like, he's down. He's either with hens, not making a noise. And I didn't call. I didn't want to overcall or anything. Sat there. A crow went off, and he gobbled right on the hill, like, I don't know, 100, 150 yards. I'm like, he's coming. So give it a couple minutes. I yelped. He gobbled in that same spot. I think he came over to listen or look for me. But within 2 minutes of me calling, I sat there, and he answered my call immediately. I just sat there with the gun ready, and I see him come out of the wood line strutting. And as soon as he wrapped this corner, he saw the decoys, went into half strut, and just charged them. I mean, he was pissed.
I haven't had a bird charge a decoy in years.
I did it twice this year.
Years.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
besides that, yeah.
he came around and just charged it. And the way I was facing, the decoys were to the left because I didn't know if he was going to come out to the left. So I was facing to kind of where he was gobbling. And as I was aiming, he was getting up to the decoys. I really wanted him to come up and beat the shit out of him. But I was like, dude, I yelped real loud. He stuck his neck out and stopped. And I had to shoot him. Yeah. I couldn't let him.
I have a question. Did you save the Snapchat videos to your phone?
Yes, I think
so. I could use those in the intro.
I think so.
If I put them next to each other, both your birds dead. I could use that.
I think
if you could find a way to get that to me.
Yeah,
that was just my thoughts as I was sitting.
But that morning too, I even said I was like, I didn't bring a camera. Same. Yep. It's just
I went to
that would have been the most beautiful video.
Yeah,
I think turkey on video.
A field.
It was a freshly planted field. It wasn't. I mean, the dirt was just perfect. It was one of the most perfect hunts I've had in a long time. The way it worked out. And I had the perfect height. I had a giant log in front of me, green stuff on each side, shooting lane to the decoys, shooting lane where I shot him. And it worked out.
I went to our spot that morning and lasted literally 10 minutes, maybe.
You got on Jake's, though.
Well, I went to our spot originally, and I got destroyed by mosquitoes. There was no bird gobbling.
Worst ever.
The mosquitoes, like unless you've been up in Alaska or some of those places, there's no way to describe because I'm hunting a very lush. Our spot is a very, very lush, wet river, slow moving river valley.
When I hunted
with like a bunch of pools of where the river overflows.
A couple days
stuff.
before I was gonna.
I mean, the mosquitoes. I had every inch of my body covered up by clothing. Was still getting bit. It was like our hunt that one time a couple weeks ago, but it was even worse. They were in my eyes. I couldn't even see. Like I'm breathing. It was insane the amount of mosquitoes. So I left there, went driving around, stopped at one of our normal spots where we hadn't hunted this year because the only bird in that area was killed opening day. And I just rolled my windows down, turned my truck off in the middle of the road and sat there for like a minute. And I heard gobbles off to the property I can't hunt, but like across the street. And I'm like, well, that's at least something. So I got out of my truck and just hammered as loud as I could on my call. I can't remember if I used my slate or my mouth, but they responded back to it. So I was like, well, that's at least something. So I went down and parked, got up, set up 30 yards from the road in this big open field. And as I was getting set up, I got my phone and getting my blind and everything. They gobbled again, probably only 100 yards away, right across the street. There's a field there too. They were in that field, but they couldn't see where I was. Oh, shit. Got all my stuff on, one calling sequence. They gobbled by the road. Popped up. I started seeing redheads. They had the road is below the field level, so they had to pop up. Saw 3 redheads. Zoomed in on my camera. Tiny little beards, but they were gobbling like men. I mean, they were bah, bah.
Crazy.
So they just gobbled through the field. I called a couple times. They looked back, gobbled, and they went into
That's
the
good
woods.
though. There's
I'm
Jake's.
Like, man, their gobble would have fooled me. Their gobble sounded better than his.
Would
bird's
you have
gobble.
shit though if it was 3 longbeards? That
would have died.
I mean,
would have died.
Would
have been amazing.
What the? You just no birds around.
It just wasn't meant to be. If they would have been longbeards, it would have been sweet. Usually this time of year, a bird will show up on one of our farms. I moved some trail cameras around, just kind of. Like last year, actually, this last week, a bird showed up on our farm and we hunted him the last couple of days. He wasn't there prior, but he showed up and was using this ridge in the evening. But I haven't got a bird on that area and haven't heard one gobbling, so that bird's obviously not back this year, unfortunately. But
there's a lot.
It's probably not meant to be. We got, like I said, the rest of today and then tomorrow. I'll have my turkey hunting stuff ready if I get a field bird. I might hunt with Nick potentially. Nick's got 2 different birds that he can go hunt, but he's just so wound up with baseball, and he went and just bought a skid steer or an excavator or something.
I don't know.
He's way too busy for us now.
But
I'll
film tomorrow.
He's got some birds. He's got some killable birds. He just hasn't had time to get on them with, having the 2 kids and being a baseball coach and working on his future house and all that. So it just hasn't worked out for Nick to be able to get on a bird this later in the year. But that's our turkey hunting stories. This is probably the last one that we'll be talking about. People are starting to filter into the farm. I've seen Dad and Mom and now Isaac filter around out there. Real quick, I guess we could talk about cameras while we're at it. Matt made a purchase.
Yep.
Probably 50% because he has a kid now and 50% because he wanted something better to film with.
Yep. I got a new Panasonic It's the Lumix, the S5 IIX. It's the upgraded of what Isaac's been using.
Yes, I thought you were potentially going to pull the trigger on the Sony for a minute there.
Well, I looked at them quite a bit. I was going to, but I figured with Isaac using these, he knows them a little bit better, so it makes it easier to kind of bounce some ideas off each other.
And that mirrorless cropped sensor makes it so the lenses, the lenses are interchangeable now, right?
Yeah.
So like
Yep.
all the lenses that Isaac has can be interchanged with Matt. We actually have two of these cameras. The podcast is being filmed on one, and then Isaac's is here. We bought one.
I was going to say, I didn't know if these were the same ones.
Yeah, they are the same exact cameras. Thank you to our YouTube and podcast audience for letting us be able to afford a second one. We got a screaming deal on the one that's filming this podcast.
Yeah, I got a screaming deal on this one too. Actually, it was an open box.
I think ours was open box too, but it was. I mean, I opened it up. It was perfectly mint, brand
Yeah, this
new.
thing was like half price of what it.
So was
should have
that?
been.
Yeah, that one was half price of what it should have been. It's
That's-
half price of what Isaac spent.
It almost
The
looked
second
like
one.
it was like maybe a return or like a display in the store or something. I'm not really sure, but like you could tell that it wasn't brand new when it showed up. Like it was kind of packaged all.
You know, I'm surprised. You know, in photography, you know, the deer hunting world doesn't necessarily jive much with the photography world, but I'm surprised more guys that are filming hunts and having smaller-ish YouTube channels like ours or even bigger YouTube channels aren't using the Panasonics more, these Lumix series, because they're very comparable. They're a lot cheaper. The crop 3/4 sensor mirrorless makes it so the lenses are just cheaper. You know, if you would have bought the Sony, a good lens for a Sony is going to be 2 to 3 times what a good lens for what we're going to use is. But all the pros use Reds and then Sonys, and then they move on to camcorders, and like no one seems to use the Panasonics. But
Now, are you going to be filming hunts with that as
Yeah.
well? Like, because I know
Isaac filmed full time last year with his.
that's what I thought, but I didn't know. I don't know anything about cameras, but Ethan was, or is it obviously just depend on the lens for the filming?
Yeah, so it's, you know, we would need Isaac to help nerd out
Yeah.
to explain it properly. But so these two camcorders, this is the one that Ethan and Luke have this, I have that. Mine's a little bit of an upgrade of that. The way it works is you can control those one-handed. It's got a internal zoomable lens.
Yep.
It's an optical lens. This one's like 10 or 15 power. Mine's 20 power.
These are two-handed.
So they zoom in, they can focus and all this stuff, but they're limited. Their sensors are very small compared to these. So the low light is really bad compared to these bigger cameras.
Yeah.
When you have a mirrorless camera like this, your lens, you can buy zoomable lenses sort of similar, but they're still, it's hard to explain, but they're still going to have their window of where they're always at. So like the camcorders, for example, could go from 0 to 100 yards, zoom in, let's say. That's what I have the ability to do with my camcorder. All these different lenses are fixed at different intervals. So sometimes you get these you get a longer, bigger style lens. The closest you can get is right here. That's the closest you can get.
Yeah, that's
and it'll be, you might be able to manually zoom it out. Zoom is the word, but adjust it out to here. You know, to have a lens that does everything you want to do is an incredible amount of money, and still doesn't quite do exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But the nice part about these, in simple terms, is the video will always appear more crisp and have more of that photography look. They call it bokeh, for example. You know, these cameras with the fixed whatever distance or aperture and all that, it can focus in on an object and the background will be blurry. So it'll create that beautiful,
Crisp image.
super crisp image. Whereas like on the camcorders, you can kind of do that, but most of the time everything's in focus that's in front of it. So
Yep.
it doesn't show depth very well on the camcorder. There's a lot of positives about these cameras. The photography level. I can't even take pictures with our camcorder. Like pulling a screen grab off our camcorders, if the lighting's not good, is really bad sometimes. It'll look grainy.
Yeah.
These things can take amazing pictures, amazing screen grabs. The nice part about these Lumix series, these mirrorless, and we use them for the podcast, they record continuously. So like some of the big fancy Sonys and stuff will cut you off at 30-minute videos. They can only let you record for 30 minutes. These Panasonics can record for 2 hours, nonstop, one video. And they have a built-in internal fan that keeps them cool so they'll never overheat. The big fancy Sonys don't have that, and they'll overheat if they're like, this camera's been recording now for about an hour. 40 minutes on this segment, and the first segment was probably 15 to 17. So this camera's been on and recording for an hour, and it's not overheating. It just keeps going.
Yeah, that was one of the big things why I went with
Yeah.
it. Just because of that. The Sonys don't have that internal fan.
Good reliability.
Yeah. And I
We
read
can
a bunch
film
of
in 10-bit
reviews.
color. Like we have videos that are 10-bit color, which is that's also kind of confusing and hard to explain, but the color profile you can get out of these cameras is more than a camcorder. You know, there's only, let's just say there's only 75 colors available with that camcorder video, and there's 1,000 colors available with this. So it's just shades are, it's hard to explain, but
Yeah.
shit looks better when you film it with those. The downside is it's a two-handed operation.
That's
So when
what
you're in the tree, and if you want to zoom in on a deer and focus on a deer, you got to use two hands because, I mean, you can do it with one hand, but it's a two-handed operation. You don't have a little remote like me and Ethan do where you just zoom in, focus on it.
That's what's nice. So if you use those cameras for when you have a guy filming.
Yeah, when you're filming another guy, having one or two of these ready to go, you might have two lenses ready. So you might have a lens for up close and then another lens for far. Or there's gonna be times where we can have both our cameras. Actually, what I'll probably do if I'm filming guys this fall is I'll keep my camcorder on me, just on a strap on the side, because I can pull that up with its image stabilization, zoom in across the field and film a deer 150 yards away.
Yeah.
And I'll keep this camera with the lens designed for just 30 yards only because it captures the most light, crispest video. And I can zoom it all the way back and film you just like this. I'll have that camera in my hands right here or on the camera arm so that I can move that one around. So one will be for filming far, one will be for filming close. Isaac takes two lenses with him sometimes. So if you're hunting in the woods, it's not that big of a deal. So
I think he brings like 3 when we're on the mountain.
yeah, so like right on the mountains, yes. But if you're hunting in the woods and you can only like truly get good video out to 50 yards, one lens will probably be enough for that day.
Yeah.
You're
This
not-
is pretty much the best universal lens that you can get.
And Isaac has, I think
remember that pig?
there's one sort. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that pig earlier. There's a couple other lenses around here, and the one on the camera is similar to that. That one's a little bit better.
Yeah.
The camera that's on the lens filming this right now is perfect for like 10 feet in this room like we are right now. And that's another thing. The farther you zoom in, the less field of view you have. So like if I want to film this, that lens will not be able to film you. It'd be like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the videos Ethan was taking when we were in Kentucky of that bird, he was using obviously one of the short lenses, but he was, this close to the bird, this bird's head, and it looked. I mean, it wasn't.
It gets very, very confusing, but it's nice that we have a broad range now of cameras we can use for all kinds of different stuff.
This one's full frame too, so.
Oh, yours is full frame? Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, theirs is cropped or whatever. Isaac's the GH6. But yeah, I mean, we'll be able to do a lot of cool stuff. Hunting in West Virginia, you can't film farther than 100 yards anyways, and that's where you do the majority of your deer hunting right here or in West Virginia. And unless you're on a field side, when Isaac hunts our one field side stand, he brings his two lenses, but anything we do, that kind of lens will be just fine.
Yep.
We're going to start trying to do the Heartland bow hunter, trying to get that kill shot in 120 frame. So every second there's 120 frames that are taken. And it can show super beautiful slow motion arrow going in. We're going to try to do that this fall. That's kind of our next adventure is getting those slow motion kill shots. We usually film everything in 30 frame, which is what like the normal human eye sees, and it's kind of like the standard for video in America. But that 30 frame you can't slow down. When you slow it down, it looks like this. It's all jerky.
Yeah.
So sometimes the GoPros film in 60 frames, so when you're moving around a little bit, it's not as choppy. But kill shots in 120 would be sweet.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
Yeah. Try to up our picture game a little bit too.
yeah.
I'd say with our bird or my bird.
Yeah,
We got some good pictures of it. And
we went from, we used to have somewhere around here's the Nex, I don't know where it's at, but we used to film with the little Sony Nex 5R, which wasn't even 4K. We used to take really nice pictures with that. And then the phones got to the point where they were just as comparable. So we've been using our phones for a lot of trophy pics recently. But if you really want to do something good, or you have a baby at home, capture memories, these cameras take it even to the next level for trophy pics. So yeah, we're just upping our game a little bit here and there.
God, those birds in PA.
Yeah, we're watching the PA video up here. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that pig. Did you see him this year?
No, I
You
didn't.
didn't drive by him?
I didn't go that way.
God, that's a big pig.
He's probably had a heart attack.
Well, that's Deer Shot Podcast episode 43. That is probably the last we will talk about turkey hunting until next March.
Yeah.
Food plot season starts right now. I'm going to go get on the tractor here after this in a little bit and start tilling. Should be a good time.
We did have some exciting news, me and Isaac.
Oh, yeah. We haven't talked about, and that'll be there'll be a lot of build up to this. But
Yeah.
there's some. They got all the Western draw stuffs out now. So
Yeah, we
you
did.
guys are in fact Utah mule deer hunting.
Yep.
Okay.
Got our license.
The last time you guys did that, deer's right up there on top of that
Yeah.
refrigerator.
Yep. Got it successful 2 days ago. So
You guys have. So Isaac's been doing the Western thing now since 2021 or 2020.
we started together. Well, I've been in New Mexico, but me
Yeah,
and him
you did a lot
went
of
to
stuff.
Nebraska I think his first Western was Nebraska with me.
Yeah.
And then he went to Idaho and did some other things that same year or the year after. And then we did Utah, Montana, and now back to Utah.
So you guys have been successful every year going out there, just not on all tags. So, you
Yep.
know, Isaac was able to kill a mule deer the first year he went out there, wasn't able to kill an elk. The second year, he killed a bear.
Mm-hmm.
The third year, he ended up killing this mule deer, missing some elk. You guys didn't get an elk. The fourth year, last year, you killed a mule deer. So there's been they have gone out west and killed something every time. It's just, when you go out
Matter
there
of
with
when it
elk
is.
and mule deer tags and antelope tags, and you come back with just one mule deer, sometimes you feel a little bit defeated. But you guys have been able to go out there and kill something every year.
Well, we
Yeah,
went
but-
to Utah. We had a really good hunts.
Yeah,
But,
you missed
all
a
right,
giant.
We're totally
That's a theme.
we're totally changing. Like that was our first high country hunt, I would say. Yeah, definitely first high country hunt for me and
Yeah, you got Isaac had never hunted that height.
No,
before.
but we stayed middle line of the mountains, and in theory we needed to be up top. But we found a really good camping spot for this year. We found 2 of them actually, but they're right by the top, right by the peaks. It's a beautiful bowl. Should be out of the weather, out of the wind, hopefully.
Yeah.
But if we
Good
can
luck.
be up top in the mornings when we wake up, I think we have a way better chance of killing these deer. Which, I mean, that's you want to be glassing, you want to be coming down on them. We watch giants every day feeding on that hillside, and we just couldn't get to them.
Are you going to that same area?
Yep, we're going the same gut that you missed your buck in. We're camping at the top of that.
Top end.
There's a big flat bench up there.
Yeah.
That actually I almost made it up to that last day when I came through there, but we're going right up that. That's the plan at least, and we're gonna be close to water, somewhat close, but we're planning. Plan is to be up there, pack enough stuff for 5 to 7 days, and come down on the third day to get water. We're really trying to. We might try and go out there in July or August, beginning of August, fly out there for just the weekend, carry water up there, and then come home.
Go find that guy's water.
I know.
He screwed up
We
that
should.
whole hunt for us. So.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
How many states have you had a close encounter and or missed a 150 class buck, Matt? West Virginia, Utah, Indiana. You almost got ran over by one in a cemetery while hunting on
Ohio.
the ground. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think about that hunt a lot. I want to do a podcast about those first 2 Indiana hunts. We've done plenty of podcasts about our last couple Indiana hunts because it's a different area and the whole YouTube thing we've been going on. But the first 2 years we went out to Indiana, it was 19 and 20. We hunted a different area. We had some really good hunts in those hills, like hunting true national forest, big hills, and the cabin we stayed in was real. I had a good time with those hunts. I would like to do that, hunt that area again potentially.
fun.
But Doug killed a buck there. Isaac had a couple bucks in range and didn't shoot. I had a buck in range, couldn't get a shot. Matt almost got ran over by a couple bucks. It was a good area. It was a good area.
Well, I almost got a shot at the one too. He saw me in the tree, draw back.
Didn't you shoot the one down south when we were camping when you got carbon monoxide poisoning? We almost died.
No, I didn't, but I should
You
have.
shot the doe.
Because I shot a doe. I had
Spencer's cabin?
Yeah.
I've never been there.
I had a giant up
They don't
here
go
on
down
camera,
there anymore. Oh, that's right.
and I'm like, I don't want to pass that up. I
Yeah.
should have killed that one down there.
Yeah, hindsight's 50-50.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's it, guys. I think we're done. If you're listening, you can turn it off now. Episode 43 is over.
And we are
Out. The shop is closing down.